Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Coming up on this episode.
That's right. That is the most expensive employee.
I love that. And you could share great wins for the week too.
Yeah. And so our goal this year is to save people $20 million.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. And I'm your host, Lance Graulich. Well, have I got a business for you? I have a newer friend. I met Ty and his wife, April. I don't know, it feels like a couple of years ago, but I don't think it was that long ago. And then I ran into Ty at our annual convention. We represent a lot of great brands, and this is a newer one that is in the niches. The riches are definitely in the niches. So we're going to talk to Ty McBride, founder and CEO, Preservan Wood Repair. Welcome, Mr. McBride.
Hey, Lance, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here.
I know you're in Oklahoma, but man, you look like a country music star coming from your studio somewhere. I don't know. So Ty, how did all this come about? Why wood repair and this secret epoxy technology, the secret sauce, if you will? Tell us, how'd you get in the world of franchising and why this niche?
Man, that's a lot. So I'll try to boil it down here into some bite-sized elements. So I've been in the home service space and home restoration for most of my adult life. My grandfather's a home builder. My dad was a roofing contractor. I've done water and fire restoration, but I got into historic preservation several years ago. Myself and my business partner built this company doing historic preservation. And, here's the thing with historic preservation, you can't replace anything. Like, they're really serious about this stuff. And one of the things they recommend, and it's been widely studied since the 70s, has been using an epoxy compound to repair wood. And so this has been used on like Mount Vernon, Monticello, the Statue of Liberty. And one day during COVID, myself and my business partner were sitting around and we're like, you know what? This, like, being a historic preservation contractor deal isn't too bad, but it's a grind. It's a lot of hard work. I think we could do something where we can take what we know about this epoxy and about wood repair and restoration, and we could apply it on more than just houses built 100 years ago. We could apply it to houses that have rotting windows and doors built 10 years ago, and we could take this and we could go nationwide. And so that was kind of like the aha moment, the whiteboard moment. We put it up there. And then when we started to look at, okay, how do we take something nationwide as a couple of just contractors, right? And so when we started looking at ways to grow, franchising became one that seemed very obvious. And the reason it became obvious for us is it really aligned with our values of we really like small business local ownership. And that was one of the things, like, how do you go nationwide and keep it local? Because that's what really matters. That's what's helped us grow, was being local. And so franchising, we had no idea what that really meant, but we knew local ownership was going to be the way to, like, take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you opened the first location about 2 years ago, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point did franchising enter your mind? Was it the first year, or at what point?
Yeah, we kind of began with the end in mind here, right? So we already had our other company going, and we kind of started it with the idea of we're gonna build this to franchise, build this for that local ownership piece. So we really we started kind of interviewing franchise attorneys and developers and different stuff early in 2022, and it almost took that full year to kind of get it all honed in and figure everything out.
Love it. So who are you looking for? Who is an ideal franchisee for you? And then we'll get into investment next.
Yeah. So we're a little bit different, I think, than most, because if I talk about our service a little bit, we show up to somebody's house, we're there to save them money. We'll say we're about 90% less than replacement. Our jobs take about 24 hours, affordable, convenient, sustainable. And so when you're doing something like that, you don't have to be a rock star salesperson.
Yeah.
And so what we're really looking for then is somebody who aligns with our values and then has like operational and project management experience, because we feel like those individuals have these unique skills that they can bring into our organization and really kind of take their career to the next level.
So operational and project management experience. So
Yeah.
any housewife or homemaker in the United States is perfect.
You know, honestly, they would be. My wife would kill it as a franchisee. But yeah, but a
Well,
lot
wait,
of
wait, wait.
times,
I also have to talk about the obvious that you went right through because you're used to talking about this all the time. You can save people 90% as
yeah,
opposed to of the cost of the replacement. So
yeah,
that's like for a window, and we're not talking historic buildings, obviously.
no,
We're just talking a regular, window or maybe door or whatever. That's huge.
yeah. I'll tell you, this is absolutely true story. This morning, I was on the phone with a candidate in Tampa, Florida, and the candidate just wanted to check out the claim, right? And so they'd asked me what something would cost, like if I was going to give them a quote, and then they called a competing window replacement company. And this is no kidding. 5 windows, 2 doors, $27,000 to replace them.
Wow.
And our quote that I just quoted would have been $1,800. So it's a huge savings factor for people. And it's something that people can get excited about, and they're super happy they made the purchase and made the choice. And so it's
Yeah.
just a win-win-win for everybody.
So on that note, I want to now ask a follow-up to that. When they pay the 1800 in the situation you described with a bunch of windows and doors, what does that do to extend the life of those windows and doors? Is that like good for another 5 years, 10 years? I mean, what does that mean based on what you're doing?
Well, yeah, so the epoxy has kind of a permanent life. I mean, it is essentially a field modified plastic, and so it's
Wow.
going to last for forever. Its adhesion is guaranteed or warranted from us for 10 years. And so, but like I kind of where I started at, historic preservation, this stuff has been in the market field tested for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we really know how long it can last.
Yeah, no, but that's a perfect. Yeah, I mean, shoot, if I can get 10 years, because look, it's like when you put in new floors in your house or some at some point you're going to change either the design or modify
Yeah.
your house regardless. You're not going to leave your windows after you just paid 1800. You're not going to leave it for another 20 years, more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, here's the other thing too. I don't know about your spouse, but I can tell you about mine. My wife has a lot of projects planned at our house, right? Like she has a kitchen idea and she has a master suite idea
All the
and,
time.
and maybe even a pool out back. Like she's got these big picture plans. But you know what she has absolutely no interest in replacing or doing anything with? Our
Wow.
windows or the post on the outside of our house. Like she bought the house, she likes the way those are. She wants to make big investments on the inside. She wants to do absolutely nothing on the outside, but like keep the
Good point.
paint looking good and maybe power wash it every
Yeah.
once in a while. And so the other good thing is it leaves plenty of money for the homeowner to invest in the things that really matter to them and not spend money on things that really
I
they
love it.
just don't look at very often.
No, that's a great idea. Speaking of investing, so what is this investment? It's a light investment. And actually, I'm going to answer it for you because I was doing some numbers because I have a couple of clients interested. So I figured about $98,000 between the franchise fee, working capital, tools, epoxy, leasing a van, and some marketing dollars. You can get all this up for 98,000. So what is we'll jump to the show me the money segment. What can you make in this business? Because you're in a very, very unique niche. So what can you make on this? Like talk about corporate numbers on that corporate
Yeah, so
location.
corporate numbers, our corporate numbers first 2 years open, both exceeded 300,000 last year, 360,000. And that here's the cool thing about that. I know that's not like a huge number, but that's one territory. That's what we operate in. And that's 2 employees, 2 technicians. So
Yes.
very, very low overhead as far as employees. We all know the most expensive thing is labor. So you're able to keep your employees low. And then the
No,
cool thing about it is,
wives.
as you start thinking
Wives are
about
the most
growing,
expensive. Wives.
that's right. That is the most expensive employee. But if you want to keep the thing growing, then you can really start to understand the unit economics of it because it's becomes a multiplication or addition factor of add additional vehicles, increase it by, 160,000 per year as you grow into your market. So it just makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
in that way.
So and with these high profit margins, I mean, I have a number based on your calculation, and you'll disclose this, the 1,800 average ticket, just in your corporate locations, off what I'm calculating as $98,000 investment, you can net 150,000 with just a couple of employees. This is amazing. And it's in a niche that's not one of 700 companies already in the space.
Yeah,
So,
so people always say you like compare apples to apples, but we're apples to oranges here. And I think that that's what gives us, like, as far as being profitable, having a relatively low ticket, saving people a lot of money, and then still being able to be profitable. And the reason we can do that is because we're not replacing. So we're not in a space where it's highly competitive, where we show up and there's 10 of us and it's a race to the bottom, or we just have to overspend in marketing.
yeah.
We're here, we have an awesome value proposition for them. They can get excited about it. And the second component of it is, with that profit margin, it allows us to attract top talent for our technicians, which I think anybody out there that's thinking about starting a home service business, the question they always ask me is, where do you get the labor? Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. When you can pay on average, and this is where we're at, is greater than the living wage, usually a multiple greater than the living wage, you can attract top talent into the industry. So you can get people. We have technicians that they've done all different types of things. They didn't come from the contracting space. They came from other places. They left that because they looked at it and they said, wow, I can work on a cool house. I can drive around in this cool little Kia and I can make decent money. Yeah, I'm definitely getting out of what I'm currently doing and going doing this.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So what is that training like for franchisees or technicians? Like,
Yeah.
you just find somebody that's a little bit handy?
Yeah, so on for franchisees, we don't actually look for any experience. Usually it's good that they're homeowners because they'll understand it right away, especially if they own a home in the south or near a lake or a river or the ocean. They get it really quick. But for them, we're not really looking for that kind of traditional, like, carpentry experience or anything like that. The training kind of takes care of it, because nobody walks in and says, I know all about wood repair with epoxy. That's never happened.
Right.
And so we have all that built in. So we have training specifically designed for the technicians. We train the franchisees how to train their technicians, and then there's guided training that they can use of ours with them. So it's a week here in OKC, deep dive. And that's where we really focus on the technical skills. And then the rest of the training happens, via Zoom like this, where we go through how to build the business, grow the business, and manage the business.
Love it. So how many franchisees are there?
So we have 5 open today, with 5 more to open this fall. And that'll take us to a total of 10 locations nationwide.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, you guys came out of the gate. There's plenty of newer franchise owners or franchise brands that go a lot slower, and that's awesome. You've already gotten some nice traction and picked up some great momentum. So I love that. Talk about the overall support. So once somebody becomes a franchisee, do you go visit them every once in a while? How do they know they're doing a great job or not, besides, looking in their bank account?
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm not going to make this promise to everybody. Not everybody wants this promise, but I do have a room set aside for me with our Nashville franchisee. I've been to his house plenty of times, and we've shared several good glasses of whiskey in the evening. But for us, it is, going back to the beginning, we're really passionate about local ownership, and so we support our franchisees like that. We really focus on them to get them open, but it really doesn't end there. I do personally every Wednesday morning at 6:30 Central. I do a mastermind where all of our franchisees and managers get on, and we really dive into the nuts and bolts of what's going on locally. We have our leaderboard. We talk about where we're winning, where we're losing, and how we can improve.
I love that. And
Yeah,
you could share great wins for the week too.
yeah. Yeah, and we can talk, but then we can even go technical. So we pull up projects and we do project overviews, because people are out there doing some really cool repairs. And so we share them with the group so that they can get creative and know how they can do that in their area when they come across it.
Yeah. So I would imagine you have a pretty good mix, depending on the market, depending on the franchisee and their comfort level. You're going to start with a lot of residential, but you might even get into some commercial business.
Absolutely. For our more, seasoned location here in Oklahoma City, where I've been working for, a long time in the space, we have a lot of contractor referrals. We have real estate agent referrals, home inspectors. I mean, the real estate agent one is huge because if you're listing $1 million home and it's got $200,000 worth of wood windows and you're getting it prepped for those beautiful Zillow pictures that you're going to do and the video walkthroughs, and then one of the windows is rotting, you got to get that fixed. Who are you going to call, right? And so we're a great fit for that. Or, when somebody wasn't proactive about it and the home inspector goes out and they crank that window open to find that all of them are rotting and it's going to jam up closing. Once again, we get those calls because we're the kind of service that shows up, gets it done, and gets you to closing without a bunch of headache and hassle. And so
Yeah.
that really becomes what you want to grow into. So definitely a lot of like B2C, but then B2B is the way you take it to the next level.
Yeah. And I love that progression. And for people listening and playing along at home, I always joke there's a bingo card out there. So B2B is definitely a buzzword thing we talk about all the time. But a lot of people love B2B because you're
Yeah,
getting typically an even higher ticket. And that also is essentially recurring revenue because if you
absolutely.
get in with contractors, they're going to call you all the time. You're going to help them out, bail them out.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I love that. So you've already given a peek under the tent, if you will, to the great culture, and your personality and energy are obvious. And but how would you describe there's a lot of franchise options out there, Ty,
Yeah,
and people think they want some really big brand, and then sometimes I tell them, well, the bigger brands, you're not going to get any territory; it's already sold, or maybe that's a crowded niche and it's not such a special brand right now. So everybody's always stuck. But I always tell people once you start talking to a brand and the process starts, whether they go through me or they ended up on your website, you got to figure out the company culture, like dating. You can look at
yeah,
somebody, look a picture and go, wow, Preservan looks fantastic. Look what they do before and after pictures. But until they talk to you and the team, I mean, isn't that it? Isn't it what it's all about?
man. Culture for me is what it's all about. I probably could grow faster if I wasn't so serious about culture. We're a values driven brand, and that is from the very inset. We really believe about serving our neighbors, serving our community, preserving these things, protecting our environment from unnecessary waste that goes into the landfill. And so it really is part of our values. And one thing that my grandfather instilled in me as a home builder is he said, you want to be able to operate in your city, in your community, and you want to do it with pride, and you want to do it with dignity, and you want to be able to hold your head high. And there's so many oftentimes contractors that might not can do that, and it's not their fault. Things are tough, but you want to do that. And so one of the things that we said early on is we don't have customers, we have neighbors. And the
Love
reason
it.
we said that is that I started working in my little neighborhood. I set up shop in my garage and I started working in my neighborhood, and I worked for my neighbors and I tried to help them fix their old houses. And the one thing I never wanted is when I was walking down the aisle at the Homeland to have to dodge over to the other aisle because it's like, oh, there's so and so, and that project didn't go very well. Like that's a real thing for a lot of contractors. And I wanted to be
Yeah.
able to walk by them and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, so great to see you. Can I help you carry your bags out? That's the way I wanted to operate a business, treating people like neighbors. And then the idea to then grow that on a national level where contractors, home service providers treating others like neighbors, that just gets me excited. And that's part of our values, it's part of our culture.
I love it.
And when I'm evaluating candidates, she asks me, what am I looking for? That's more than anything what I'm looking for. Am
Yeah.
I looking for somebody who looks at who's trying to be a neighbor out there, trying to do good things for people? That's what's going to be a good fit here.
That's awesome. So your role in the company. So if I refer a candidate to you that is interested in Preserving, do they have their first call with you, or are you the last call, the last check? I know you have more, you have a bunch of employees and team members, if you will. But what is the process and what is your role in this whole thing?
Yeah. So I always feel a little bit like, a little bit pretentious when somebody says founder and CEO, Ty, because that's not how I think of myself. But my role here is really to help that recruitment process and to make sure we get people that align with those values. And so I like to get started early on. I think a lot of businesses, as they start to grow, the CEO and founder starts putting layers in between them and their customers or their franchisees. And I got my team together several months ago as we started to gain some serious traction. I said, hey, I want to do things in exactly opposite. I want to put together a team that allows me to be more available to franchisees, that allows me to get on more calls, not less calls. So you guys all work with me to make that happen rather than add layers in between me and them. And so for me, usually what it looks like is I'm usually on the first video call we do, which I think is the first or second call that we do. I'm on them.
Right.
And what I really like to focus on is them and their city because I want to grow this through local ownership. And so I like to drill down to the numbers, understand where you live, understand what the opportunity is, and understand if you're the right person to take advantage of that opportunity.
That's awesome. And how many, have you turned a couple of people down that you realize they probably don't fit the culture?
I've turned a few down that I
Yeah.
was like, they probably don't fit the culture.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's because great people and probably will be amazing franchisees for somebody. They might be too focused on the money. Like, here's the thing. You shared our numbers. They're great, exciting numbers. And I don't want to give those numbers up to just anybody who can get excited about numbers. We can all get excited about money.
Yeah.
I want them to get excited about the service and being a servant.
Yeah.
And then the money will come. Like, that's the thing. The
Yeah.
money comes when you do it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And what are your goals these days? So, here we are halfway through the year. What are your goals for the rest of 2024, 2025?
So this would be a little bit weird because I know a lot of people always talk about like numbers. I want to put a number of units out, or I want to have a number of franchisees or awards or whatever those things are. Uh, we set a goal and how much we wanted to save people. That's the goal we set. We set a
I love it.
goal on how much do we want to save people. And so our goal this year is to save people $20 million. For 2024, we wanted to save $20 million. Now we've got a little ways to go. We're about halfway there. But then as we look at big picture, 2030, I know this is crazy, but I like setting crazy goals. We want to save American homeowners $500 million by the year 2030. And that's just a number that gets me excited because I just think about all the things that people can do with that money rather than replace things that don't need to be replaced, right?
Yeah.
Like you can, well, one, not go into debt. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Two, maybe have a little bit of money to put your kids through college, go on that vacation that you haven't been able to go on, uh, you know, save some money because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Those are the things that get me excited about saving people money through our home service repair.
That sounds awesome. Fantastic and very inspiring. I can tell you that. When it comes to marketing, so when somebody, a franchisee is out of training, what does that marketing launch look like? Like what is the way to properly launch a Preservan location where nobody knows you?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, we're really big fans of digital. So Facebook and Instagram and TikTok are our friends. People love our before and after. So they
I love
play
that you
really well.
I love that you said TikTok because I think there's a lot of creative things on platforms that a lot of traditional brands, home services included, they don't use it. And TikTok, people are seeing this stuff. So
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we like to lean in heavy with that and then even go a little old school with some direct mail because now with the technology, you can really drill down. I always tell our franchisees, and some of them even have this memorized: lakes, gates, golf courses. That's what we're focused on. That's the type of ideal neighbor
Say
that
that
we
one
want
more
to have.
time. Lakes.
Lakes, gates, and golf courses. So on a lake, behind a gate, or on a golf course, those homes make up our ideal neighbors. And so we've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to target those individuals who are really in need of our service, show them some great befores and afters, and let the phone ring.
I love that. Well, half the battle in business is knowing who your customer is. And in franchising, people ask me all the time, well, how do I know if their marketing is good enough? How do I know? You ask questions and you have an interaction with, in this case, the founder of the brand, and you either believe what he's saying and want to be part of that culture or not. So I don't know why, Ty, anybody wouldn't want to be part of the Preservan
I
culture
appreciate
listening
that.
to you. So this has been great. Final thoughts, final words of wisdom for the audience.
Man, the only thing I'd ever say, if someone's listening out here and they're thinking about it, I always tell people, do work that matters. We will spend all of our lives working. You give it up, you leave your family behind, you leave your children behind, you go out there, you walk out of the door every day. Do something that matters in life, that'll matter to you. And if Preservan is the thing that you think can matter and that you can do work that matters with us, get in contact, but do something that matters with your life. It's too short, and you're missing out on too much to not to.
I love it. Ty, that's awesome. Hey, I wish you nothing but absolute success, and I'll help you, help you grow that brand of yours. And thanks for being here, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Talk to you soon.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.